Hey guys, hope you're all doing great. I'm Hoodie, and today we're going to check out some Reddit stories together. And if you enjoy listening to Reddit stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The subreddit, Am I the Asshole? Party costume _ thrower. Am I the asshole for uninviting my dad's wife for my daughter's birthday party over something she did last year? I don't usually turn to the internet for advice, but I feel like my situation is specific enough that my friends can't help me much. For context, my dad has been with Kathy for a little under 15 years. She's technically his third wife, so she's always been very insecure about her place in his family, which has unfortunately led her to become very needy and histrionic. My daughter is turning 6 in February, and we're planning her birthday party. Last year, my husband and I threw her a Cinderella-themed party at our place. My dad showed up without Kathy, who had claimed to be sick. It didn't bother me, but I remember feeling something was off. Near the end of the party, Kathy showed up in a Cinderella costume. She was acting in character and trying to interact with the kids. Neither me nor my husband had been informed she'd be doing that. At most, she'd asked me whether we were hiring any party performers a few weeks prior. I later found out she'd been planning to surprise my daughter and bought the costume the day she found out what the theme would be. My husband and I are still positive Kathy did this for attention. It didn't really work. My daughter recognized her immediately, but it did disrupt things a little, because she did this around the time the kids were eating cake and some of the parents were getting ready to leave. We managed to sort things out, but it took some time, and we still had to deal with a dozen confused preschoolers. It was a great party besides that, and our daughter enjoyed herself, which is what matters most. But my husband and I asked Kathy not to do this again. She agreed and apologized. I'm pretty sure she's planning on doing it again. We spent a lot of time with my paternal family during the holidays, and I noticed Kathy was bringing up Cinderella's appearance at the party very frequently. She was reminiscing, showing pictures, and talking about what she'd do differently. She didn't talk to my kids about it much, but she did ask my daughter what theme she wanted for her party this year, and how she'd feel if one of the characters showed up. I really don't want to have to deal with this surprise again, especially if it comes with no warning like last time. We're also throwing this year's party at a venue, not at home, meaning we have a time slot to abide by. My husband and I spoke to Kathy about our concerns. She didn't say she was planning on showing up in costume, but she kept insisting that if she did, the kids would love it and it could be fun. We tried to make her promise she wouldn't do it, but she kept dodging it and claiming she didn't see the problem. Finally, we told her it would be best that she didn't come at all. She can join us for the dinner we're having afterwards, but not the actual party. Now she's upset, and my dad is angry at us. He firmly believes we're being paranoid and dramatic. I'm worried we're going too far, but I'm almost certain she is indeed planning on doing it again, and I don't want to risk having problems at the party. Am I the asshole? Well, OP. You're not being dramatic for wanting to protect your child's birthday from becoming someone else's stage. You and your husband planned the party. You handled the logistics, and you were very clear about not wanting another surprise like last year. When someone ignores that and keeps hinting about doing it again, that's not enthusiasm. That's disrespect for boundaries. There's a big difference between loving your step-grandkids and inserting yourself into the spotlight at their event. This party isn't about Kathy proving how involved or creative she is. It's about your daughter having a smooth, happy day. You gave her a chance to respect your wishes. You talked to her directly, and she refused to give you a straight answer. At that point, uninviting her from the party itself isn't punishment. It's a preventative measure. You're not excluding her from the family. You're just refusing to gamble with your child's special day. And while her concerns already felt justified, the update makes it clear that this wasn't just a suspicion. It was something being actively planned behind her back. And now, here's the update from the original poster. So, I have a love/hate relationship with being right. My dad called me 2 days after I posted. There's a purple wig at his place that is styled suspiciously similar to Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters. He opened Kathy's mail thinking it was his and found it. The costume itself is set to arrive in about a week. She wasn't planning on telling him about either. He's claiming they fought because neither the costume nor the wig were cheap, but he also felt the need to tell me she'd been watching the movie repeatedly to study, and that she cares so much, And that isn't it sweet how much Kathy loves my kids, and maybe my daughter would like it this time. That was all I heard before I went to look for a pillow to scream into. I'm done. This made me a lot angrier than it should have. But it isn't the first time someone in my family decides my plans, and the effort I put in don't mean shit. And if I can't even plan my own child's birthday party without someone trying to butt in, I don't have to feel bad about drawing the line. Kathy is officially banned from the party. My husband and I have alerted the venue that we didn't hire any character performers. And if any Caucasian-looking Korean pop star shows up, they must tell her to go home. We also gave them a picture of her. They basically told us they can't let anyone who's not on the guest list inside anyway, so she won't be allowed. I feel horrible about making them deal with my family drama, but at least that's one less thing to worry about. My dad and I did fight about this, but I put my foot down. He kept arguing that it wouldn't be a big deal if I just let Kathy have this. I told him that's not the point. If he's not the one who's going to have to manage the situation, he doesn't get to tell me how hard it is to do it. In the end, this is what we settled on. My dad can come to the birthday party as long as Kathy doesn't tag along. If she does, they're both out. Both of them can still join us for dinner later. I'm also thinking about lowering my contact with both my dad and Kathy. I love my dad, but no headache is worth this. I want to wait until I'm calmer to work out the details. I want to thank everyone. I've got a lot going on in my life, and my therapist is on vacation, so it feels good to rant about this. But for my own sanity, I'm going to focus on relaxing for the next couple of weeks. I already feel much lighter knowing this is over. Well, OP, the update confirms exactly what your instincts were already telling you. She wasn't just considering it. She was actively planning it, spending money on it, and hiding it from your dad. That turns this from an awkward misunderstanding into a deliberate decision to ignore your wishes and hijack the party anyway. When someone is willing to go that far, you're not dealing with harmless excitement anymore. You're dealing with someone who prioritizes their own need for attention over your role as the parent. What really stands out is that you didn't just react emotionally. You handled this strategically and calmly. You set clear rules, coordinated with the venue, and gave your dad reasonable options that still allowed him to be part of the celebration. You weren't trying to cut anyone off. You were protecting your peace and your child's experience. And honestly, that line you drew isn't about costumes, it's about respect. If people can't respect you when you're organizing your own child's birthday, they won't respect you in bigger situations either. Choosing distance here isn't cruelty. It's self-preservation, and it's completely justified. Now, let's move on to the next post. The subreddit, Am I the Asshole? ThrowRA41303. Am I the asshole for rejecting someone because they have borderline personality disorder? To make a long story short, I, 22 female, and Ian, 21 male, were friends since we were kids. After middle school, we sadly drifted apart because we went to different high schools. For years later, after when we graduated, we reunited because sadly his mother died, and I was informed about this. It was at a funeral that we reconnected, and after that, we started to hang out again regularly. One day though, his dad, 51 male, pulled me aside and told me that Ian started to have feelings for me. He also did give me a warning that he was also diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I told him thanks for the heads up, and we left it at that. A day later, Ian texted me and asked me if I could be his girlfriend. I haven't responded back to him yet because honestly, and this might sound fucked up, and I apologize if I offended anyone, I am afraid of people who have borderline personality disorder. My brother, 25 male, has it, and enough though I love him so much and would do anything for him, he scares me from time to time. So, please be honest with me. Am I the asshole if I reject him because he has borderline personality disorder? If I am, and if I do give him a chance, how would you guys deal with a partner who has borderline personality disorder? Well, OP, you're not a bad person for being honest about your fear and your boundaries. Your hesitation isn't coming from prejudice or cruelty. It's coming from lived experience with someone you love who has the same diagnosis. That kind of experience shapes how safe or unsafe certain situations feel, and it's valid to listen to that instinct. At the same time, it's important to recognize that no one is owed a romantic relationship, no matter how long you've known them or how hard their life has been. Dating someone out of guilt or obligation isn't kindness. It usually just leads to resentment and more hurt on both sides. You're not saying he's a bad person. You're saying you're not sure you're emotionally equipped to handle the kind of relationship this could become. And that kind of self-awareness, especially at your age, is actually a sign of maturity, not selfishness. And while her hesitation already felt rooted in past experiences and a very real need to protect her own emotional well-being, the update shows how she chose to handle the situation with honesty and care. And now, here's the update from the original poster. Now, before I get to the update, I want to address some common questions and concerns people had for me. 1. Does Ian really have borderline personality disorder, and is his dad lying about it? Honestly, I am not 100% sure, as me and him only reconnected not that long ago. 2. Does Ian's dad dislike me? Absolutely not. When me and Ian went to school together, I would spend time at his place after school when my parents were at work. Plus, he has never made any creepy advances towards me, although I do somewhat understand where some of you guys are coming from. Anyways, onto the update. I texted him back apologizing to him for leaving him on read, and I told him that I would much rather prefer to have this conversation with him face to face about his confession to me. He agreed to this. He told his dad Keith, and he texted me on Facebook Messenger. We've been Facebook friends for a while, and he invited me out to lunch with them next weekend. So, expect an update from me next weekend, I guess, LOL. But the update will be on my main profile because this subreddit only allows one update. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me or to DM me. Thanks, guys. Well, OP, the update shows that you handled this with way more care and respect than most people would. Instead of ghosting him or making a snap decision, you chose to talk face to face, which already shows that you're not trying to hurt him. You're trying to be honest and considerate. That matters, especially when feelings and mental health are both involved. What really stands out here is that you're not rejecting him as a person. You're trying to understand whether this is something you can realistically handle without reliving your own trauma from your brother's struggles. And that's not discrimination, that's self-protection. Mental health challenges don't make someone unlovable, but they also don't erase the fact that relationships with serious conditions can be emotionally intense, and not everyone is built for that. You're allowed to choose what kind of emotional environment you want in your life. Whatever decision you make after that conversation, the fact that you're approaching it with empathy instead of fear alone says a lot about your character. Now, let's move on to the next post. The subreddit Am I the Asshole? Conscious, League 5661. Am I the asshole for moving out of my and my now ex-boyfriend's apartment without reminding him that our lease is up on the 31st? My ex-boyfriend, 30 male, and I, 29 female, had been together for almost 8 years, living together for 5. We were initially child-free by choice because we quite liked having a ton of disposable income and being able to go on spontaneous trips, and didn't want to ruin that. A little over a year ago, one of our best couple friends got pregnant, and I think he started to change his mind about the child-free lifestyle. We spoke about it, and he assured me that he hadn't changed his mind, but I had a bit of a gut feeling. The baby was born in July, and while we have both been involved in the necessary village-like activities of having close friends that are new parents, I sensed him sort of pulling away from me, texting less and less throughout the day, missing at least one of our bi-weekly date nights per week. Once more, I tried to have a conversation with him, and explained in pretty uncertain terms that I was not going to change my mind about being child-free, and advised him that if he was heading in that direction, he needed to tell me now, to avoid miscommunications and a messy breakup later. He said he had been thinking about talking to me about adoption later on down the line. We spoke about it briefly, but once my mind is made up, it's very hard to change. He had a few business trips lined up in October, so we decided to use that time to take a break, determine if we were still aligned, and come back either having worked through it or deciding to break up once and for all. We rent a pretty fancy, expensive apartment together, and I stayed in it while he traveled. I'm a very pragmatic person, so I kind of saw that as the beginning of the end, because a disagreement about whether or not to have children is not something a couple can compromise about, in my opinion. And while I knew I could probably be able to afford this place on my own, I wouldn't be able to keep up the kind of lifestyle I've been living. so I began putting feelers out for a new apartment. I told him that I was doing this, as we still spoke at least once a week during this break, and we even joked about how we were smart to have this relationship mess hap towards the end of the year, when our lease is up. We broke up officially in late November, and I reminded him that the lease on our current apartment was due to expire in December, so he needed to decide if he was staying here. I thought that was unlikely, because even though he makes a bit more than I do, and it is his name on the lease, pretty much all the furniture and everything that made this our place was mine, or finding somewhere new. He waffled a bit, said he wasn't sure, that he would make up his mind closer to the end of the year. We pretty much cut majority of contact since the breakup, except for coordinating to pick up a few odds and ends that he needed at wherever he's living temporarily at the moment. It is now the 29th of December, and here's where I think I might be the AH. I was able to find a gorgeous, decently sized, decently priced 2-bedroom apartment quite literally 2 weeks ago, and have made arrangements to have my furniture moved tomorrow. I've been on the fence all day today about calling him to remind him about the lease ending, because as much as he's essentially moved the majority of his clothes out, he still has a ton of electronics, memorabilia, comic books and action figures, and general odds and ends in his office, which I have not touched because nothing in there belongs to me. My best friend, who is currently drinking all my wine while we pack the last of my stuff, thinks I should call him to remind him, just as a courtesy. But I think I've given him more than enough reminders leading up to today. And we're both adults here. I shouldn't have to remind him to come collect his things out of our apartment. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for essentially moving out without telling him, and leaving what might be a bit of a mess with the landlord for him to deal with? Well, OP, you're not wrong for moving forward with your own plans here. You were honest, you communicated, and you gave him multiple reminders that the lease was ending. At some point, being an adult means keeping track of your own responsibilities, especially after a breakup. You weren't sneaking out in the middle of the night. You were continuing with a plan that had already been discussed. And honestly, the bigger issue in this story isn't the lease. It's that your relationship ended over a core life decision that simply doesn't have a middle ground. Wanting kids versus staying child-free isn't something you can compromise on without someone giving up a huge part of themselves. You did the mature thing by recognizing that early and making practical choices to protect your future. It's understandable to feel a little bitter and emotionally detached after 8 years together, but choosing to move on doesn't make you cruel. It makes you realistic. And while her hesitation already felt like the exhaustion of someone who had been carrying the emotional load for far too long, the update shows what happened when she finally reached out one last time. And now, here's the update from the original poster. Hello all. I don't know if I'm doing this update thing correctly, but I had posted to this sub to get some more feedback on a conversation I was having with a friend, and I hadn't intended to do anything other than go through the replies and make up my mind one way or the other, but it got a ton more replies than I expected. So for anyone interested, I did end up texting him on Wednesday morning, because the cleaners were coming in the afternoon, and I wanted them to clean his space out too. Luckily, he had not forgotten, but apparently, he had been expecting me to pack his office up and let him know when to come collect his stuff. Anyway, I told him that I hadn't, and he came to the house right away to get his things together. We had really a nice morning together, despite that miscommunication, and all is well. Thanks to everyone who commented on the original post and DM'd me their thoughts. The ultimate goal was to get opinions from people who had distanced from the situation, and I achieved that. I can also acknowledge that I was a little bitter about the circumstances, and that's what led to my hesitance to text him in the first place. But overall, I'm glad I did. Thank you for your time, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Well, OP, the update really changes the tone in a good way, because it shows that this wasn't about trying to punish him or leave him in a bad spot. It was about a genuine miscommunication, and honestly, the fact that he expected you to pack up his office after the breakup says a lot about how emotional labor was still falling on you, even when the relationship was already over. You did the right thing by finally texting, but it shouldn't have been your job in the first place. What I really respect here is how you handled it once things were clarified. You didn't escalate, you didn't turn it into a fight, and you were both able to part on decent terms. Breakups don't always have to end in chaos to still be painful, and it's clear there were hurt feelings on both sides. But you chose closure over resentment, and that takes maturity. Sometimes doing the kind thing doesn't mean you were wrong before. It just means you decided peace was worth more than being technically right. And that's a strong place to move forward from. All right, everyone. Which story got you fired up the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thank you for spending your time with me. Your support genuinely means the world. Take care, much love, and I'll see you in the next one.